Welcome to What Dwells Beneath. I'm your host, Perzival, your lantern bearer through the twisted alleys of true crime and the paranormal, where the past festers like an open wound, oozing secrets no grave can hold. This episode slithers to you stitched together by the shadowy hands of my producer, Neku, who laces these tales with a dread so thick you can taste it, like rust on your tongue. Tonight, we're not just stepping into history. We're clawing our way into a nightmare carved in 1692. A year when fear turned neighbor against neighbor. When the air itself thickened with suspicion and the ground swallowed the innocents whole. The Salem Witch Trials aren't some dusty ghost story to yawn over. They're a descent into hell forged by human hands. A darkness that clings to the soul of this land like damp rot. Picture a village trembling under a gray sky, where every creak of a floorboard might be the devil's hoof, every whisper a curse. So draw your curtains tight, stoke the fire till it spits embers, and follow me into the abyss. Something's stirring out there in the void, and it's ravenous for your attention. Let's set the stage, my dear dwellers. Cast your mind back to the late 1691 and plant your boots on the edge of Salem Village. A rugged speck in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The ground's a frozen slab, cracked and unyielding. The trees bare and skeletal, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky, and that sky bears the color of ash, like a shroud draped over a corpse. Smoke curls from chimneys in thin, desperate wisps. But there's no warmth here. Only the brittle tension of a community teetering on the brink of ruin. The Puritans, who hacked the settlement from the wilderness, came with a fevered dream. A godly utopia, a city upon a hill to blaze as a beacon against the filth of sin. But by now, the dreams curdled into something sour and jagged. The winters sink their teeth deeper each year, stripping crops to stubble, and leaving livestock as gaunt as the villagers themselves. Smallpox scars linger from a plague that swept through in 1689, and to the north, King William's War rages like a distant thunderstorm. English settlers locked in a brutal dance with French forces and the Wabanaki tribes, their raids spilling blood and terror southward. Refugees stumble into Salem's muddy lanes, hollow-eyed, their tales of scalped kin stoking the night terrors of an already fractured flock. And beneath it all, old feuds fester like sores. The merchant-rich Salem town, fat with trade and smug with piety, sneers at the hard-scrabble village farmers, scraping by on prayer and spite. These Puritans aren't the rosy-cheeked pilgrims of your grade school plays, sipping cider with the natives. They're a stern-bred, hammered into shape by John Calvin's unforgiving theology. They are obsessed with predestination, the idea that God's already sorted the saved from the damned, and you're just a puppet dangling on his strings. Sin's their shadow, and the devil their constant stalker. They see every storm as God's wrath, every dead calf as Satan's sneer. Their Bible isn't just a book. It's a code, a legal code, etched in fire. Exodus 22:18 snarls, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And they take it as gospel truth, a command to rot out evil with rope and flame. Witchcraft's no fireside fable here. It is a capital crime, a blood pact with the Prince of Darkness himself, punishable by a noose or worse. They're convinced witches can set loose their specters, phantom doubles to torment the godly, invisible talons, raking flesh while the witches cackle by their hearth. Untouchable. That's the world we're plunging into, dwellers. A place where faith is a sharpened blade, where doubt is treason, and where the line between holiness and horror blurs into a smear of blood and ash. It's a tinderbox, and the match is about to strike. The first ember flares in January 1692, in the creaking, drafty home of Reverend Samuel Parris, Salem Village's divisive minister. Paris isn't some haloed shepherd guiding his flock to salvation, but he is in fact a failed Barbados merchant who traded sugarcane for sermons, washing up here in 1689 with a sugar grudge and a family in tow. He's a wiry figure, all sharp angles and sharper words, his eyes glinting like flint as he thunders hellfire from the pulpit. His voice cuts through the meeting house like a lash, but he's no beloved leader. Half the village loathes him, the other half grudgingly fills his pews, muttering about his measly pay. He's been haggling with the congregation over firewood and wages since he arrived, a petty tyrant in a threadbare cloak. His household's a motley crew, his wife Elizabeth, a pale wisp of a woman worn thin by duty, their 9-year-old daughter Betty, a quiet girl with wide, watchful eyes, their 11-year-old niece Abigail Williams, orphaned and sharp-tongued, her gaze darting like a cornered fox, and Tituba, an enslaved woman hauled from the Caribbean, her roots a tangle of mystery, perhaps Arawak, perhaps African. Her skin is a stark contrast to the majority of this Puritan outpost. She moves through the house like a shadow, her voice low and lifting, carrying echoes of a world these villagers can't fathom. It begins quietly, a ripple in stillness. Betty and Abigail start acting odd, little shivers at night, a twitch here, a gasp there. Then it erupts into something grotesque. They scream without warning, their voices piercing the winter air like shattered glass. Their bodies twist into impossible shapes, knees jerking up to their chin, arms flung back like snapped marionettes, fingers clawing at nothing. They dart under tables, scrabble at the floorboards, whimper about unseen teeth ripping into their arms, their legs, and their throats. Paris watches, his face a mask of dread. He's a man who sees Satan lurking in every spilled cup, every stubbed toe. He doesn't shrug it off as childish games. He summons his neighbors, men with furrowed brows and clenched fists, women clutching aprons and rosaries. Whispers slither through the village, and soon the affliction spreads like a plague. Other girls seem to catch the contagion. Ann Putnam Jr., 12, daughter of prominent farmer with a grudge as deep as his fields. Mercy Lewis, 17, a war orphan turned servant, her eyes haunted by memories of a blood-soaked mane. Elizabeth Hubbard, 16, niece to the local doctor, her voice trembling with borrowed authority. Mary Walcott, 16, a captain's daughter with a flair for drama. And Mary Warren, a 20-year-old housemaid whose loyalty wavers like a candle in the wind. By late January, Salem Village is a hive of unease. These are not just tantrums. They're a scourge of the uncanny, a chorus of shrieks that chills the marrow. Enter William Griggs, the village physician, a stoop-shouldered man with a bag of leeches and a Bible thicker than his arms. He trudges through the snow to Paris's house, his breath fogging in the frigid air, and peers at Betty and Abigail through tired eyes. He prods their limbs and listens to their wails, rules out fever and falling sickness. Epilepsy's too mundane for this. After a long silence, he straightens up and delivers a verdict that splits the sky like lightning. The evil hand is upon them. Bewitchment. In Puritan New England, that's no idle phrase. It's a death knell, a summons to war against the invisible. The adults swarm like wasps. Paris, his jaw tight with righteous fury, Thomas Putnam, Anne's father, joined Paris when he started to question them. They cornered the girls, voices hard. Who's tormenting you? Name them. On February 29th, Leap Day, an omen in itself, 3 names spill out, each a perfect scapegoat for a village itching to purge its sins. The first to be named, Sarah Good, a beggar woman scraping by on crusts and handouts, her pipe smoke curling around a perpetual scowl. She's a fixture on Salem's edges, her tattered shawl flapping like raven wings, her muttering shapes when charity runs dry. Folks swear they've heard curses in her rasp, but the second to be named is Sarah Osborne, an aging widow with a limp and a scandal, who'd shack up with her Irish servant Alexander after her husband's death. A brazen snub to the Puritan rules. She is known to skip church, her pew gathering dust, and whispers trail her like flies. Then finally, we have Tituba, the outsider's outsider, a dark-skinned, foreign-born, her accent a riddle to these filthy souls. She spun tales to the girls on winter nights, stories of spirits dancing in the cane fields, discussing the omens in the stars, and tales that thrill and terrify in equal measure. They're not just accused, they're marked, branded as the devil's handmaidens in a village desperate for a target. March 1st, 1692, the first interrogations ignite in the meeting house, a squat, timbered barn of a building. Its walls rough-hewn, its benches packed with gawkers, clutching Bibles and gaping like crows at a carcass. Magistrates John Hawthorne and Jonathan Corwin preside. Hawthorne, a dour ancestor of Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Corwin, a quiet enforcer of Puritan law. The girls perform on cue, shrieking, collapsing, pointing at the accused as their gazes burn. Sarah Good snaps back, denying it all. Unfortunately, her temper is her downfall. It feeds the narrative. Sarah Osborne, frail and coughing, pleads innocence, but her past sins, remarriage, adultery, it damns her. Tituba, the wild card. Under Hawthorne's barrage, she cracks, or is coerced. She confesses. She's a witch. She's seen the devil's book and signed it in blood with 9 others. She describes flying on poles. Is it truth, terror, or a script beaten into her? Either way, it's dynamite. The magistrates order all 3 to jail. Good's husband turns on her, Osborne's shunned, and Tituba's confession ignites a witch hunt. March then explodes. The accusations spread like rot. On March 11th, Ann Putnam Jr. names Martha Corey. She is a church member who scoffed at the girl's fits. Her skepticism is now her crime. March 19th, Abigail accuses Rebecca Nurse, a 71-year-old matriarch who is kind to a fault, but tangled in a land spat with the Putnams. March 21st, little Dorothy Good, Sarah's 4-year-old daughter, is hauled in. Her baby babble is twisted into proof of witchcraft. Warrants fly. By month's end, over a dozen are locked up in Salem's town jail, a dank pit of stone and straw. The air is thick with panic. Sermons thunder loud about Satan's army. Paris preaches from Malachi 3:5. I'll be a swift witness against the sorcerers. The girl's fits worsen. Mercy Lewis claims spectral crows peck at her eyes. Mary Warren sees glowing figures at her bedside. The village is a cauldron, and it's boiling over. April brings no relief. On the 11th, Deputy Governor Thomas Danforth joins Hawthorne and Corwin for a hearing in Salem Village. Martha Corey is then grilled. Her husband Giles Corey testifies against her, then backtracks, sealing his own fate. Rebecca Nurse faces the same. Her deaf ear missing half the question, her calm demeanor mocked as devilish. The girls scream and claw and accuse, claiming the woman's specter is choking them mid-testimony. By April 19th, arrests hit Andover. Mary Lacey, a minister's kin, is snared after her daughter's fits. The jail is bursting. Ipswich and Boston send overflow. A new figure emerges. Deliverance Dane. She is an Andover matron, accused by her own servant. The hysteria is wildfire now, jumping towns, fed by whispers and grudges. May 1692 shifts the game. Governor William Phipps sails in from England. He is a battle-ridden soldier tasked with stabilizing the colony. He finds chaos, jails overflowing, courts stalled. On May 27th, he establishes the Court of Oyer and Terminer to hear and decide, with Chief Justice William Stoughton at the helm. Stoughton also has his deputies. They include Samuel Sewall, a merchant, John Richards, a Boston elite, and Waitstill Winthrop, a magistrate with a poet's name and a hangman's heart. Their mission: clear the backlog, crush the witches. Spectral evidence, visions of ghostly attacks, rules the day. No hard proof required. June 2nd, the first trial. Bridget Bishop, a tavern keeper with a flair for a red lace and a trail of rumors. She's been accused of witchcraft a decade back. She was acquitted then, but she is doomed now. The girls swear her specter stabs them with pins. A farmer claims she bewitched his cow to death. Another swears he found poppets in her cellar in 1680. If you don't know what a poppet is, it is a doll. She denies it, sharp and unbowed, but Stoughton's mind's made up. June 10th, she hangs on Gallows Hill, a scrubby knoll west of town. The rope creaking as her breath stops. The crowd silent. It's not cheering. They're just watching. It's the first blood, but the flood is coming. July is a complete slaughter. On the 5th, Sarah Goods tried. Her own daughter, Dorothy, testifies against her. A child's words twisted into damnation. Sarah Wilds, a Topsfield widow, falls next. Her stepchildren's old grudges resurface as evidence. Elizabeth Howe, a blind Ipswich woman, is accused by neighbors she's scalded. Susanna Martin, a sassy Amesbury widow, laughs at the court, sealing her fate. Rebecca Nurse's trial was a complete farce. Initially acquitted, the girl's howls force a retrial, and she's then convicted. July 19th, all 5 hang together, their bodies swaying as crows circle overhead. Sarah Good curses the crowd. God will give you blood to drink. Her newborn, Mercy, born in jail, dies days later. Another ghost in the tally. August heats up the madness. On the 5th, George Burroughs, Salem's ex-minister, faces trial. He'd left in 1683 amid salary disputes, now back from Maine as a witch leader. The girls claim he bites them in spectral form. Accusers say he lifted a musket with one finger. Superhuman strength. He recites the Lord's Prayer at the gallows, a supposed impossibility for witches, but Stoughton hangs him anyway. August 19th, alongside John Proctor, a tavern owner who called the girls liars. John Willard, a deputy who quit arresting suspects. George Jacobs Sr., an 8-year-old farmer, and Martha Carrier, a smallpox survivor, dubbed Queen of Hell by Cotton Mather's. 5 more ropes, 5 more shadows, 5 more corpses. September is the peak. On the 9th, 6-phase trial. Martha Corey, who mocked the hysteria. Mary Esty, Rebecca Nurse's sister, pleading reason. Alice Parker, a fisherman's wife. Ann Pewter, a midwife with a shady past. Wilmot Red, a Marblehead crank. And Margaret Scott, an elderly beggar. Spectral visions and old gossip convict them. September 17th, Giles Corey's pressed. Refusing a plea, he's stripped, laid in a pit, and piled with stones. For 2 whole days, he gasps more weight. His tongue bulging as Sheriff Corn watches. He dies September 19th, unyielding. September 22nd, the 6 women hang with Mary Bradbury, who escapes jail, and Samuel Wardwell, a carpenter who confessed, then recanted. 8 more hang. The hill is a forest of nooses. October is the turning point. The body counts 19 hanged, 1 crushed, 5 dead in jail. Sarah Osborne among them, her health broken by chains. But cracks show. On October 3rd, Increase Mather, Boston's top cleric, Cotton Mather's father, condemns spectral evidence. It were better than 10 suspected witches should escape than 1 innocent person should be condemned. October 8th, Thomas Brattle, a merchant, circulates a letter mocking the trial's logic. Why can't the devil fake a specter? The afflicted accuse Lady Phipps, the governor's wife, and suddenly the elite blink. October 29th, Phipps dissolved the court of Oyer and Terminer, banning spectral evidence and new hearings. Would you just look at that? November 1692 to May 1693 is a major cleanup. A superior court takes over, convicting three: Sarah Wardwell, Elizabeth Johnson Jr., and Mary Post. But Phipps pardons them by January. Jails, they begin to empty by spring. Tituba is sold off, her fate lost to history. The toll, 19 hanged. Bridget Bishop, Sarah Good, Sarah Wilds, Elizabeth Howell, Susanna Martin, Rebecca Nurse, George Burroughs, John Proctor, John Willard, George Jacobs Sr., Martha Carrier, Martha Corey, Mary Esty, Alice Parker, Ann Pewter, Wilmot Red, Margaret Scott, Samuel Wardwell, and Mary Bradbury. Giles Corey is pressed to death, and 5 died in jail, which are Sarah Osborne, Roger Toothaker, Lydia Dustin, Ann Foster, and an unnamed infant. Over 200 accused, towns from Andover to Ipswich scared. The aftermath's a slow bleed. Salem Village renames itself Danvers in 1752, dodging shame. Massachusetts apologizes in 1957, 265 years later. Elizabeth Johnson Jr. is exonerated in 2022, 330 years after her chains. Today, Salem town's a witch-themed circus, but Gallows Hill unmarked. Its ghosts restless. Locals report cold spots, voices, a heaviness no tourist trap can bury. So what sparked this inferno? Let's dig into the theories. Because the truth's like a hydra. You cut one head, and another snarls. Mass hysteria is the classic. These girls, Betty, Abigail, Anne, Mercy, were powerless in a man's world. Their lives scripted by their fathers and preachers. Their fits flipped the table. Suddenly, they're prophets, judges trembling at their screams. Were they playing a game that spiraled? Or was it real to them? A psychosomatic storm, stress as convulsions, belief as vision. In Andover, 40 confessed under pressure, then recanted, because delusion is contagious. The Putnams egged it on, and Paris fanned the flames. A village of 500 became a stage, and the girls held the script. But then there's Ergot, the fungal fiend. Rye was Salem's bread. Ergot loves wet summers. Like 1691's swampy thaw, its toxins mimic LSD, hallucinations, seizures, burning skin. Linda Corpel's 1976 study ties it to the girl's fits, weatherlogged backing her up. But the issue here is farmers knew bad grain. Black, twisted heads, and not all affected ate the same loaf. And then there are Tituba's tales. They don't fit a trip. Still, imagine a poison in the pantry, turning prayers into screams. War is another thread. King William's War hit hard. Mercy Lewis saw her family butchered in Falmouth, 1689, fleeing south. Ann Putnam's uncle died at Casco Bay, 1690. Their fits mirror trauma, flashes of blood, spectral tormentors. The Puritans also demonized the Wabanaki. Maybe the girls saw Satan in their neighbors too, a safer target for buried rage. Refugees clogged Salem, fear bred suspicion, war's ghosts stoked the pyre. Social rot's undeniable. The Putnams versus the Porters was a Cold War. Farmers losing to merchants. Thomas Putnam signed 120 accusations targeting foes like Nurse and Proctor. Paris, their puppet, preached vengeance. Post-trials, the Putnams thrived. Their rivals sank, land and power shifted under God's will. In Andover, the Dane family accused the Wards over inheritance. In Topsfield, the Wilds fell to the Howells' envy. It's a chessboard of grudges, pawns, and chains. And then there's the paranormal angle. Tituba's Barbados roots hint at folk magic, divination within shells, charms against sickness. She might have shown the girls tricks, egg whites and water, a glimpse of fate. When it soured, say a deathly shape, they panicked, guilt blooming into fits. Her Sabbath tales echo European witch hunts, fed by hawthorn. But what if she stirred something real? No covens proven, no cauldrons in the woods, but in a world of spirits, who's to say? Lesser known threads weave in. Philip English, a rich merchant, fled after his wife's arrest. His ships dodged the noose. Sarah Cloyce, Mary Estey's sister, survived. Her defiance a whisper against the tide. 2 dogs hanged in Andover, familiars to a phantom witch. Dorothy Good's mind broke. By 1710, she was a ward of the state, mute and lost. Spectral evidence quirks. Mary Warren saw Proctor's ghost before his arrest. Is that time-bending proof? The trials birthed Cotton Mather's Wonders of the Invisible World, a defense turned relic. And the land? Gallows Hill's soil still chills. Bones rumored beneath the asphalt. What dwells beneath? Hysteria's echo, a fungal curse, war scars, greed, or is it a brush with the beyond? It's a tapestry of terror, each thread a scream. Those 20 dead, the jailed, the broken. They linger, daring us to face the dark we carry. That's tonight's Descent Dwellers. On Spotify, rate us 5 stars. Comment, hit the poll. Keep the shadows alive. On Apple, be sure to drop a rating and review to lure more souls. Do you have a personal encounter you would like to share? Is the encounter strange, unusual? Whatever it may be, we would like to hear about it. Share it for our listener episodes. Join the Tavern Dwellers on Discord, 2,400 members strong. Stroll to the personal encounters section and fill out the Google form. Not only will you be sending us your personal encounter, but you'll be able to interact with other dwellers. Or you can hit up taverndwellers.com and submit it there. Also, please know we will greatly appreciate all encounters submitted with 1,000 words or more, so it can add length to the episode. Anything less could possibly use as short form content on our social media pages. Would you like more from me, Perzival? I'm slaying on Twitch, gaming on YouTube. Links to these will be in the episode description. And lastly, thank you, Neku, for producing such an amazing show. Until next time, dwellers, lock your doors and check the corners. Something's crouched in the silence. Sleep if you dare, but the night's got claws, and it's already inside.